Invited as our guest speaker this morning for three reasons. A gentleman, he loves Jesus, he has a compelling life story, and he is a distinguished man of science and healing. We hope that he can help us sort some things out. May I introduce the Director of Pediatric Neurosurgery at one of the world's great hospitals, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Dr. Benjamin Carson, Sr.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Mrs. Obama, distinguished guests, which includes everybody. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor to be at the stage again. I was here 16 years ago, and the fact that they've invited me back means that I didn't offend too many people. So that was great. I want to start by reading four texts, which will put into context what I'm going to say. Proverbs 11:9. With his mouth, the godless destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous escape. Proverbs 11:12. A man who lacks judgment derides his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his tongue. Proverbs 11:25. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. And 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land. We've reached a point where people are afraid to actually talk about what they want to say because somebody might be offended. People are afraid to say Merry Christmas at Christmas time. It doesn't matter whether the person you're talking to is Jewish or, whether they're any religion. That's a salutation, a greeting of goodwill. We've got to get over this sensitivity, and it keeps people from saying what they really believe. I'm reminded of a very successful young businessman. And he loved to buy his mother these exotic gifts for Mother's Day. And he ran out of ideas. And then he ran across these birds. These birds were cool. They cost $5,000 a piece. They could dance, they could sing, they could talk. He was so excited he bought two of them. Sent them to his mother. Couldn't wait to call her up on Mother's Day. Mother, what'd you think of those birds? And she said, they was good. He said, no. Mother, you didn't eat those birds. Those birds cost $5,000 a piece. They could dance, they could sing, they could talk. And she said, well, they should have said something. And that's where we end up too if we don't speak up for what we believe. And what we need to do in this PC world is forget about unanimity of speech and unanimity of thought. And we need to concentrate on being respectful of those people with whom we disagree. And that's when I think we begin to make real progress. And one last thing about political correctness, which I think is a horrible thing, by the way. I'm very, very compassionate, and I'm not ever out to offend anyone. But PC is dangerous because you see, this country, one of the founding principles was freedom of thought and freedom of expression. And it muffles people. It puts a muzzle on them. And at the same time, keeps people from discussing important issues while the fabric of their society is being changed. And we cannot fall for that trick. And what we need to do is start talking about things that are important, things that were important in the development of our nation.
You are actually trying to make your country a better place.
Absolutely.
And you've been very brave in doing that. Tell me about the United States today and the whole political landscape.
Sure. Well, recognize that, this is a country that was established for, of, and by the people. It was never supposed to become for, of, and by the government. And people were supposed to be free in every way. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. All of these things are under enormous attack right now in the United States. They have been for a while. There's an agenda. And people who read a lot know exactly what I'm talking about. If you go back and you look at the writings of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin and Saul Alinsky, and they talk about how important it is to bring the United States into line with everybody else in order to achieve a new world order. But in order to do that, they would have to knock down the strongest pillars, the Judeo-Christian belief system and the strong family values. We have to be willing to stand up for what we believe. Most Americans actually do believe in God. But the media has been so hard on people who proclaim their faith that most people are afraid. And they've been beaten into submission by the political correctness police. And I have declared war on political correctness. And a lot of people have joined that war.
Look, I'm looking from afar, and we're certainly praying, and I listen to the courage that you have. That's what impresses me about Dr. Carson, because to have President Obama sitting 6 feet away and to get up and say the things you said wasn't a soft thing to do.
No,
it was a brave thing to do.
And there was a penalty for that. I got an IRS audit for the first time. First, they said, "We just want to look at your real estate holdings." But, we're meticulous. We cross every T and dot every I. So they couldn't find anything. They said, well, let's just expand to an entire audit. And they couldn't find anything. Well, let's just do another year. And for 3 months, they kept it up. And finally, they couldn't find anything, so they went away. But also, one of the organizations I sat on a board for that helps the children of prisoners. And they got $1 million grant every year from the Justice Department. Well, after that, the Justice Department called them up and said, we know who's on your board. We don't have any money for you. And there were several other things that I'm not free to talk about, but it's unbelievable. But the thing that keeps me going is Romans chapter 8. It says, if God be for you, who can be against you? You don't need to fear anybody as long as God is there.